You can have the best product in the world. You can have the best solution in the world. But if no one ever finds out about that you're doing it, or how you're doing it, or why you're doing it, then it never goes anywhere. And that's where placing yourself in a way in which you can be marketable and you can convey effectively what are your competitive advantages, what is it that makes you stand out? That's what makes you successful.
Welcome back. Today we are speaking with Danny Coello. So Danny has a company, a phenomenal marketing company, and his background is vast. So he oversees 50 team members plus freelancers as well. So his company's name's DS&P Marketing Agency. So they do quite a bit, and we're going to be diving into his background. But this guy is a business guru. So if he loves something, he starts a business with it. So whether it's like real estate, printing, luxury cars, it's like commercial cleaning. If he likes it, he starts a business with it, and he's been wildly successful. And I mean, the list could go on and on with all the awards and industry recognition. But we're going to let the conversation speak for itself. But very reputable and runs a very phenomenal firm here with 50 team members as well. So, Danny, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, Danny, you and I, we just started chatting. We were talking all about Portugal. What a phenomenal spot. You and I want to go and visit, and people that we know have been there, and it's becoming kind of a very hot spot there for people to go. But time was starting to go, and we realized we had to start the podcast and chat business. And marketing is something that is your background. I love marketing as well. So why don't you share a little bit about your background and like what got you into business originally?
I read a statistic somewhere that the vast majority, in the low 90s, of the people who start a business is because someone in their family had started a business in the past. I've never been able to confirm that data. I wouldn't even be able to begin to verify that data. But to me, it makes sense because pretty much everyone that I know that has started a business knows someone that either is in their inner circle, whether a friend or a family member that has owned businesses. And that's exactly what happened with me. My father has owned businesses his entire life. His two brothers, my two uncles, have owned businesses all of their lives. And so, even while I was in school, I was always involved in family businesses, solopreneur efforts, partnerships, all kinds of different things. And that's how I kind of got started. That's how I got the bug. And as I was telling you in the conversation we were having before we started recording, the way that I saw it is if I like something, specifically when it comes to real estate or when it comes to luxury cars or exotics, uh, I liked them, and I was like, I'm going to be investing money or putting money into that, why not make it a business?
Mm,
Specifically, when it comes to cars, exotics, and luxury cars, I love cars. I grew up with two brothers. Looking at car magazines. And looking at Car and Driver and Motor Trend back in the day, that it was our favorite pastime. And so, yeah, I've gotten involved in all kinds of different industries over the years.
amazing. And what kind of businesses did your dad and his brothers get into? Were they kind of across the board, or was it in a niche market?
No, so it was also across the board. My father
Yeah.
was involved in retail. He was involved. He studied agronomy, so he was involved
What is
in
that? What is that agronomy?
so the selling products for uh, um, farms in uh, when you are harvesting all kinds of different things, and
Cool.
so. Um, that's what he studied. That's what he had a business in that. He also had supermarkets at one point. Uh, just a little bit of everything. The corporate cleaning business that we had was a family business. fairly large, but the margins are so tiny
Mm,
in that industry. But we had large contracts. We had most of the TJ Maxx's, Marshalls, Ross's, Walmart's, HEB's in most of the Southwest at one point.
wow. That's
Uh,
what a background.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But my goodness, yes, you're talking about it was about 700 or up to 900 employees at a time. Most of them working at night. I was running operations, so I was running 24 hours a day. It ran me ragged.
Amazing. Wow,
Yeah.
phenomenal. So you were really it was ingrained in you at a very young age,
Mhm.
business. It was just something that and you had said you have brothers, you have 2 brothers?
I have two brothers, yeah, but both of them do not have that entrepreneurial bug. By the way, they're in corporate America and they're happy to be there.
And what do you think the difference is with like, if you were to try to, we'll say, describe the differences, say that something that you have, you said that they don't have it. What do you think that is? Like, what kind of core attributes do you think that you have, maybe that your brothers didn't? And maybe it's something, did you identify that at an early age or not?
So it's possible, but also I'm the eldest, and so
Okay.
I was always given a ton of responsibility, and so because of it as well, I was always kind of involved in the businesses as well.
Mhm.
My two younger brothers, they were there. They would get invited to do things, but they weren't actively participating. I was.
Mm. And you're the oldest.
I'm the eldest. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I have 3 boys. And I talked to them, I'm like, "Yeah, business, business, business," and it was like my oldest, like, he's 17 now, so, he's, he's thinking, post-secondary, what kind of schooling is he gonna do, and he's probably gonna do some sort of business, program, um, but the other 2, it's like I'm talking about business, doing business deals, and they're kinda like, I don't wanna do business." I'm like, "Huh." Like, "That's kind of odd." I'm like, maybe I'm, like, hoping, I'm like, maybe they'll grab onto it, but that's cool if they don't. I mean, it's something what kind of attributes do you think that you have that you were given responsibility, I get that, and you were the oldest, so you were always leading you were leading to a certain degree as
Exactly.
well.
It's yeah, and I was yeah. So I was given a lot of responsibility outside and inside the house, and I think it correlates. But um, I'm not going to say that my brothers are fearful, but not
Mm,
having fear to fail is
right.
a large portion of it.
Right. Yeah.
In a lot of the people who I see that they don't have the bug to become an entrepreneur or to own businesses. There's always this constant fear, but what if it fails?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
so what?
Right.
You start something
Right.
else.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna work for 6 months and then it could go to 0 and you get 0 pay? Like, "Oh, I don't like that." No, it's like, I wanna make sure I get paid, right? And
Exactly.
any sane person would actually agree with that. It's like, yeah, you do work, you get paid, right? Whereas with a business, not only you may not get paid, but you could actually lose everything too if you start betting, you going and playing that game, right? So you're right. It's there's a lot, not having, I guess, a fear of failure is maybe what could drive you, but you take the risk anyways. And I don't know if it's like this for you, but it's like I'm going to bet on myself because I'm going to swing. I'm going to swing hard, and I'm going to bet on myself. And if I go down and die, it's because of me. It's because of nobody else. I don't know if that's your perspective.
Exactly. So you hit it right on the head because
Yeah.
I don't is the possibility of failure there 100% anytime you start something. However,
Yeah.
the ceiling it's actually placed by someone else if you're in corporate America. But if you
Right.
own a business, there is no ceiling. You are the
Uh,
one who determines how successful you'll become. And that is what attracts me to business.
yeah.
That's what
That's so good.
I'm betting on myself. I've always correlated entrepreneurship with athletes, successful athletes. because they're always constantly doing this. And for a lot of people, they don't make sense to the fact that someone doesn't sign a contract now, which could be in the tens of millions of dollars, because they're betting on themselves. And if they do win, instead of getting tens of millions of dollars, they get hundreds of millions of dollars in the next contract. For
Mm,
most people, that would never make sense. Take
yeah.
whatever is on the table now. But athletes have that same bug too. They bet on themselves.
It's interesting. I heard Jeff Bezos one time talk about like business is how he thinks of it is that um, in baseball game when you get a home run, like the best you can get is a home run, right? And the best you can get is 4 runs. You got full, bases are full, first, second, third base, and then you get a grand slam, right? You got 4 points. But in business, if you get a grand slam, you not only get 4 runs, you can get like millions of runs.
Exactly.
That is
Exactly.
so sexy,
100%.
man.
Yeah.
Right? That
Yeah.
to me is I love that saying. I'm like, oh man, that's so good. Like in business, when you take a swing, I mean, if you strike out, I guess you could go bankrupt and lose everything. But the upside of that, I mean, you could get a million runs. Like it's like it's a game of baseball on steroids, which is like such an attractive thing. And it's if you move quick enough and learn fast enough, you can get competitive advantage. Just like you see the guys in poker, but it's even more so. You can learn business, I think, better than poker because there's a certain element of, I think, luck in that game. But the best guys get to the table, right? Because
Mhm,
they know how to bluff and all the
mhm,
rest of it. In
mhm.
business, once you learn, you get better. If you just keep on going, eventually you'll figure it out. Which I love that.
But going along with the comparison to athletes, okay, so what
Yeah,
happens if you don't hit a home run? So what? You'll get another turn. And it's
yeah,
exactly the same thing with
yeah.
with business. Yeah, can you strike out and can you fail in a business? Yes, you can. And maybe it'll be difficult for a little bit, but you start something else.
Yeah,
You'll get
so good.
another at bat.
Yeah, I love that. I love that metaphor there. The it's interesting. The entrepreneurs that know that they're going to keep going. Like, there's no sort of like secret police to say once you fail, you can never try again. Like that is just not. That's an interesting thing to think about. It's
Mhm,
like you can keep trying. Like that's what I love about like North America, whether you're in Canada or in the U.S. I mean across the world in many countries, not all countries, right? Because I was talking with with one of my actually my barber, and he was telling me like the country that he's from. It's like if you're poor at the beginning, it's really very very difficult to get ahead. Very very difficult. And here it's like if you just keep on trying. So I love that. I think that's so true. You get up another bat.
yeah,
Even if you go bankrupt, it's like you go at it again. It's like you can provide value to the marketplace.
absolutely, 100%. And I'm at a point, Mark, in which I tell people that I'm no spring chicken. And it's fairly obvious but when you look at the podcast. However, I tell people I'm no spring chicken, but I'm more like an early summer chicken. I still have most of the summer to go, and I still have a lot to offer, but I've been around for a while. And so
Right.
now I'm focusing a ton. And it's the first time that I'm focusing on this more than anything else. I'm focusing on giving back
Cool.
to entrepreneurs, to businesses, to startups, to people who don't have the knowledge, who are going through this maybe for the first time. And it's so rewarding to do that. And by the way, that's one of the reasons why I am in the business that I'm at. For most of the businesses that I've done them for a little bit. Either you get bored or you're like, some of those businesses are cyclical. There's a specific timeline in which you want to pursue them, and then you move on. But in this particular case, when it comes to my marketing agency, it was actually started out of the need that I saw of those around me. And it has grown to a point in which I have both the marketing knowledge on how to make a business successful, but also the background of owning a lot of different businesses at a lot of different stages. And I've been in their shoes multiple times. So by providing a little bit of guidance, providing maybe even a little bit of support, maybe a little bit of cheerleading sometimes, it helps them a ton. And so I'm now getting involved in the Central Florida area with a lot of incubators, accelerators, in organizations that mentor or tutor small businesses. And it is incredibly rewarding. And one of the reasons why I've had the agency for now, we're getting close to 17 years. The reason why I'm involved is because it's so incredibly rewarding to establish relationships with people that some of them, when they approached us, they only had a business concept. They didn't even have a business plan. And we started executing, we started helping them execute that. We started providing assistance, we started providing guidance, and they've moved into a sustainable, profitable business. And that is what makes me wake up every morning and be excited about going to go to work.
So good. And you're at the highest level now, contribution, right? Giving back. It's one of like the six human needs from Tony Robbins. So good. Love it. So okay. You've done a lot of businesses yourself, okay? And you've helped a lot of business owners go from concept to successful business and profitable. Can you take us through? I know there's thousands of steps, but like what are the main steps that if you can, because generally I find like in most businesses, it's like really one, two, or three things. If you really hit these one, two, or three things out of the park, generally it's like you can be really successful. And I know that, there's many other things as well, but what are kind of like the main steps from the businesses that you started that were successful and the entrepreneurs that started that you oversaw and they did these steps really well? Can you take us through kind of what um, we'll say kind of like an infancy where a newborn baby idea is born into growing into maybe like a gazelle or an elephant type thing to that next
Sure thing.
level, as Vern Harnick likes to talk about.
So, Mark, I promise I'm going to get to the direct answer, but let me give you a story that completely blew my mind back in the day. This was in the early stages of me getting involved in businesses. Um, I was living in Houston at the time, and we were visiting a friend who's had plenty of success. He owns, I believe he still does. He owns a business in heavy equipment. So he basically leases heavy equipment construction to cities and governments. So a lot of the heavy equipment that is used for road work and for building out bridges and all the stuff, he has it. He leases us out to companies and construction companies, and he makes a ton of money. So he lives in a very good area. We went to visit him a weekend, and he lives in a very nice house. But the house next door was absolutely ridiculous. It was just, uh, three mansions over the size of the one that he lived in, all kinds of exotic cars and luxury cars parked in front. And so, of course, out of curiosity, I asked him, "So who lives next door?" And he said, "Oh, it's so and so." And I was like, I've never heard that name. I was thinking that you were going to tell me the name of a famous actor or a athlete who's had a ton of success. I've never heard that name. And he's like, "Well, he sells tortillas." And I'm like, "What?"
He sells tortillas.
He sells tortillas. And I said, what are you talking about?" And he says,
Yeah.
"Yeah." he started selling tortillas in the Houston area in little street stands. And his tortillas were so great that he started growing and growing the business. And now he's one of the largest commercial distributors of tortillas in North America. And so what blew my mind is this. I said, wait a minute. If you can have that kind of house and those kind of cars by selling tortillas, you can really be successful at anything that you set your mind to. This kind of goes to what I was telling you before that I said, you know what? I love cars. Let me start a business in cars. Why not? Instead of me spending a bunch of money and throwing money on an asset that's losing value, let me make some money out of it. And so that's where that rationale came from. So as far as answering your question, the thing is that in knowing that you can be successful at anything that you want to do, it's all about competitive advantages. It's all about how you portray your business or the solution that you're offering. It's a marketing exercise. So I can guarantee you that aside from the fact that this guy sells very good tortillas, he did very well at marketing himself. Because you can have the best product in the world, you can have the best solution in the world, but if no one ever finds out about that you're doing it, or how you're doing it, or why you're doing it, then it never goes anywhere. And that's where placing yourself in a way in which you can be marketable and you can convey effectively what are your competitive advantages. What is it that makes you stand out? Why is it that you that sell tortillas just like everyone else, why is it that people should buy your tortillas? That's what makes you successful. Did I answer your question, Mark?
Yeah, 100%. And so my follow-up question to that is, okay, so they go through the exercise, they get clear, which is actually, it's not just like an overnight thing. Like this is something that there's I would imagine part of your process you would go through is doing like a whole SWOT in the marketplace and
Hmm.
getting clear, and not just you think this, but you actually going and speaking with, people who is your core client, getting
Exactly.
clear on what
Yeah.
it is that they want. Um,
Hmm.
and then, perhaps even doing a little bit of lean startup, you do kind of a minimal viable product and get it out there and verify that what your thesis is actually truly the competitive advantage, which I've seen a lot. It's like, yeah, it's my competitive advantage. And then it goes out there and people, you ask people to buy it and they're like, it's not that important. Right.
Hmm.
And they
Hmm.
get, right. So how do you, okay, well, I would say before I go to that, my next question, because this is so important, I think, for business owners, and when you find this is why it's so important. When you find it, uh, there's a Robert Bloom wrote this book, Inside Advantage. It was a really good book as well. He talks about it, but when you find it, growing your business becomes like easy. It becomes like it's just if you spend the uptime front the time up front and you get this right. So this is such a powerful conversation. I love the story as well. So what would I just want to make sure that I'd mentioned a few things, but are there certain things that you, when you're coaching or talking to a new business, what are kind of the main exercises that you'd say, okay, do these things first to first find your competitive advantage? Is there the kind of the steps that you would follow for the listeners out there to nail that down before I get to my second question?
Okay, so once again, I'll start with something and I'll come back to a direct answer to your question. At its core, marketing is fairly simple. Whatever you're selling, there is a market out there who's looking for that product or service that you're offering. Marketing is connecting the dots. So at its core, marketing is simple. Now, how you execute The marketing can be a little complex, and there are things that you do. But at its core, all you're doing in the perspective that you bring to the table is, okay, who's your target market? What are your competitive advantages? Let's figure out how to connect you, who is offering this and who has this advantage, to the people who are buying it. And let's explain to them why they should buy from you instead of the competition. So it's fairly simple. Now, as far as figuring out those things, every time that we start a relationship with a client, we go through that process of learning them typically, even if they're at a concept level and they don't even have a business plan. You can find that there is a way to offer a particular solution to the people who are looking for whatever product. You're not selling a product, you're selling a solution. And of course, that's what everyone tells you in marketing. You're not offering a tortilla, you're offering the how soft that tortilla and how amazing it makes your tacos, how incredible those tacos feel when you're using your tortilla. So it's not the tortilla you're buying, is the experience of those tacos
Yeah.
whenever you
Yeah.
fold them. And so
Yeah.
it's exactly the same thing. Apple is great at doing this. They don't sell you a laptop. They don't sell you an AR or VR experience. They sell you how it makes you feel. And so that's exactly what you are looking for. You're looking for a solution. You're looking for what is it that you're trying to offer? What are the benefits it's providing your target market? But ultimately, and this is why I was telling you that the execution can be a little complex. But ultimately, if you're buying a product that there is no market for, no one is buying it, it's a little more difficult because it could be that you're starting something brand new, starting something that that hasn't been out there. But typically, you're not reinventing the wheel. It's a matter of figuring out who that target market is, developing that competitive advantages, and connecting the dots between one and the other.
Mm. It's so good. And I'm gonna just build on what you had said because I think what I think a lot of entrepreneurs, from what I've seen, it's like they have their concept of what they think the market wants, but then when they're trying to communicate it, they don't communicate it in a very simple way, and it's like very
Exactly.
complex. And
Messaging.
so they, right, this is where we've learned this. So we run two business. We have a real estate brokerage north of Toronto, and then we do this real estate investment firm. And number of years ago, we had a marketing. Well, actually, we've had many marketing uh, pros come in, like on our team because we built an in-house marketing team. But
Mhm, mhm.
they're like, let's change up. Let's take the face off the billboards. Let's get really cute with the sayings. Instead of just straight free home evaluation, it was room to grow and all these kind of cute sayings. But when we started advertising it, what was interesting, we went from like very simple messaging, like 3 words on a billboard, because anything more than that, it's like you got like a split second to for people to see it. And then there, you have all these cute sayings. And then what happened was we actually had less phone calls, but we had more marketing people reach out and saying, "Yeah, that's really cute. That's really great." But the average person just didn't resonate. It didn't make sense, and it wasn't clear what it is that that we're
Definitely.
offering. And it was
Yeah.
interesting. I started hearing clients like, I don't see you around anymore. Like, are you still in the business? I'm like, what? Uh,
Yeah.
so simplicity, I think, is like it's one once you nail that down, being able to be simple on that, and then to be consistent, the same message over and over and over and over until you actually break through the barrier of all the thousands of messages that people are hearing out there. Um, I'm going to pause there, and then I'm going to ask the next question. What are your thoughts on that? I only kind of built on to your amazing message. It's so powerful. If the listeners as an entrepreneur really get this,
But there's one additional thing I want to mention about this.
please, yeah,
People like doing business with people, not with
yes,
brands. And so when it comes to the messaging, it's extremely important to humanize that message. There's a reason why you're doing what you're doing, why you're passionate about offering this solution or that solution, or developing this product or offering this service. There is a reason why you were just an associate at a law firm, and then all of a sudden you open your own law firm because you were passionate about this or the other, or you became an oral surgeon, or you're doing this, or you're selling tortillas. There is a reason why, and when you are able to humanize that messaging, when people are able to learn more of the who you are and why you're doing it, all of a sudden it really doesn't matter that someone else is selling a cheaper tortilla, or that there is a doctor that has more awards that he's won, because they're dealing and there's that human connection that has been established. And when you establish that connection, you establish loyalty. It's up to you to lose that loyalty or to lose that customer or that client. But establishing that connection, humanizing your effort, making sure that they're doing business with you as a person or as an entity or as a business, but it's the business is created with other humans that are passionate about what they do. All of a sudden, it simplifies the process.
So good. It's so good. It's interesting. I took Darren Hardy. I'm not sure if you've. He used to be the editor of Success Magazine. He's really like business guru, and one of the things he's really strong in marketing. And I took one of his business kind of mastery courses, and his thing was that yeah, like having a face for any business. You got Jeff Bezos for Amazon,
Mhm,
Apple with Steve
mhm,
Jobs when he was around, and even Mark Zuckerberg. Like he's
mhm.
recently, I'm sure like your firm would have gone in given that same kind of counsel that they got for he got was like we need to humanize, right? That would have been like we need to humanize Facebook, and then he started posting, and people got to know him, and became kind of cool again. um but like heart to heart, like messaging, when you're writing messaging, it's he was saying like it's a human connection, and that's really what a brand is, right? It's like it's the emotional connection to your product or service, and like the way to do that is to do heart to heart messaging. When you're writing in a newsletter, it's like writing from Mark Faris, the CEO, to the core client, one person at a time, even though you're writing to maybe hundreds of thousands of people. um, this is powerful stuff. That this is the kind of stuff that takes businesses and blows them up. And it's like, how did that happen? It's like, well, they followed all of Danny's suggestions that he's making. Um, love it. So okay, so you nailed down your core. I just kind of geek out on this stuff. So like, if you got any, like, please, like, I'm just kind of adding into what you're saying of things that I've kind of figured out. But it's such a core, amazing message, and it's fun. Actually, it's a fun process to go through, because it's like when you figure out what your play is, what your core offering is, and your value prop, and who your core client. It's like this, kind of like this lock, right? That's
Mhm.
like click, click, click. It doesn't feel good,
Exactly. Yep.
right? It's just
Yep.
boom, it hits, and it's like the core values, actually, when we introduced these in our companies as well, was another one. It's like when we got them right, it was just like it was like, oh man, like that just feels so right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so here's the question. So once you figure out what you're offering, how does the average business get it out in the world so that they can start to get traction, like the
Mhm.
practicality of getting the message out? What's your suggestions with
Okay.
that?
And actually, that was even if you didn't ask me that question, that's where I was going to go next. Um, but great that you asked it. So here is what we typically do. There are a lot of marketing agencies that offer services on a very specific level. So you have your website development agencies and you have your SEO agencies, and sometimes you can combine some things, your content management. Then you'll have some of your video studios and production. You'll have your PR agencies, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But what we teach is a chronological order to digital marketing success. A lot of people, they contact our agency in the very beginning. The first words out of their mouth is, "Hey, I want to do some Facebook advertising.
Yeah.
I need to do
I want
some
to get some leads. I want to
yeah
get some
yeah yeah.
leads.
I want to do some Google ads."
Yeah.
And so we're like, "Okay, yeah, that could very well be the answer, but let's back up and let's analyze because." What we teach, and by the way, I teach this course with the city of Chicago, the BACP office, Business Affairs and Consumer Protection office. I'm also teaching this with the University of Central Florida Business Incubator, and this is part of the mentoring and part of the tutoring that we offer to small businesses and part of giving back. But what we teach is that if you follow a specific chronological order with your marketing, you're going to experience a better return on investment that you would otherwise. Now, we're not saying that if all you ever do is step 3 and step 6, or you do the order you do it in reverse order from step 10 going back, that you're not going to experience any success. That's nonsense. If you invest a little bit of money into pretty much anything, you're bound to get some return. However, and I'm going to give you a what that chronological order is for the benefit of all the people who are listening to this podcast.
Okay, I'm going to pause you there because we're going to leave everybody on the cliffhanger. We're going to wrap up. We're going to come back with part 2. No. Oh man, it's the cliffhanger. I'm not going to do that for listeners out there. It's like this is what I'm like. Oh please, Lord, please tell us what it is. And Danny's just about to offer. So I just want to, like, if you're listening out there, and like, this is gold right now. So I definitely want to recommend that you whip out a pen. If you're driving, don't maybe don't whip out a pen when you're driving. That's not safe. But definitely, like, come back and write these down, these steps. This is like powerful. Danny's about to give you a solid step-by-step process to follow. Okay,
Some
Danny,
gold nuggets.
I set the stage really high here, so keep going.
And by the way, Mark, ideally, I should have been the one giving the cliffhanger, and I would have said, "Come back next week for
Yeah,
the chronological order to marketing
we're
success." Anyway,
we're a good team. We're playing this up here, so yeah.
all right. So here it is. Uh, Step number 1: branding. And what I mean by branding is your logo needs to speak for itself. There are some people who basically hired it. Look, I'm going to simplify this specifically for like small businesses or people who are starting, uh, people who are thinking of starting a business and have had a side hustle, and they hire someone from Figma to just put two clip arts together and the name, and they got a logo. Effective branding means when you look at a logo, they already know part of your messaging. They already know what you do. It's clever. It conveys a message. It tells people maybe even who you are or the passion for your business. And I know that you think I'm crazy that an icon or a little design can say that. But the reality is that our minds, the way that they work, they assimilate so much more than by actually reading any messaging. So just by looking at a logo, looking at a branding image, looking at a color scheme, your mind starts processing all of that. There is a reason why there is something that they teach in graphic design about the science of color design. There are specific colors that convey certain messages, and whether you know it or not, your brain is assimilating this. So even before you land on a website, they kind of know who you are and what you're doing. So that's effective branding. Number two, website development.
Can you
There
say
are
that again?
website development.
Got it.
There are plenty of people who say, "Oh, you know what? I do all my business on Facebook because that's where my target market is, or I do my Facebook on TikTok. You know, that's where the kids are. I'm offering something that it's an impulse buy to kids. That's my core target market. That's where I need to be." Yes, until Facebook or until TikTok starts changing the algorithms. And what happens? What happens if you've evolved and you've invested so much time and effort in developing a presence on Facebook or on Instagram, and then all of a sudden something happens, they change the algorithms, and then all of a sudden you're not being found anywhere. The only platform that you can control 100% is your website. Even if your target market is on Facebook and on TikTok or on LinkedIn or anywhere else, you should be channeling them through your website.
Because everybody will Google you anyways. It's like when there's a
Exactly.
company, that's what I do every time. It's like, boom, website. I'm searching, but I don't see them. I'm like, oh, I'm a little bit concerned. I'm like, are these guys real? Like, what's going on here?
Exactly.
Yeah,
And that's part of
it's
branding, by the
smart.
way, which is also an exercise in branding. But
Yes,
so that leads me to the third step, which is search engine optimization, SEO. And it also leads to what you just said. Because what
cool.
happens is an effective SEO campaign, an effective SEO configuration is basically telling all the search engines, including Google, whether who you are, what you do, and who you're doing it for. You're basically disclosing. You're not letting Google and Bing and Yahoo and Yandex and DuckDuckGo or anything else assume who you are, what you do, and who you're doing it for. You're telling them those things. And when that is configured correctly, and you're channeling all of your traffic from LinkedIn, from TikTok, from Facebook, from Instagram, from Mastodon, anything that you want, and you're channeling them to your website, guess what? Google sees not only those three things, but they see that consistently you're getting higher traffic, more clicks, more buys. And that's how you gain search ranking because they know who you are, what you do, and who you're doing it for. But they also see that you're a business that's doing this correctly, that is always growing and it's always evolving and bringing more clients to the table. Can you do this in a little bubble inside of Facebook? You could. But what happens is they control the algorithms, not you. On a website, you control the entire environment, not Facebook, not TikTok, not anything else. It's for all those influencers from TikTok, when there was talk that they were going to shut down the app in North America or the United States, that was a huge blow. There were people who were making some serious money, and they had invested everything on becoming an influencer on TikTok. So what? So what happens if someone comes along and says, you know what, this is illegal, we're going to shut it down? You have zero control over that. On your website, there is no such a thing. You control it. Okay, so we've gone through three steps. Let's go to the fourth one. And this is actually our perspective is very unique because typically you go, step four can have three different options. So it can be 4A, 4B, or 4C. And what will determine which way you go is based on who is your target market, what could be the most competitive advantage that you have at marketing yourself, and what is the most reasonable return on investment that you can get for your marketing dollars. So 4A, paid advertising. That could be on Google. That could be on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. That could be in LinkedIn or anywhere else. But typically, depending on what it is, a lot of times has to do with search results or search paid ads. Why? Because if you're a Mexican restaurant, you're not going to necessarily go to Facebook to do a search for a Mexican restaurant. You're going to go to Google to do a search for a Mexican restaurant because right now you're looking for a place where to go eat right now. And when you have an active search paid advertising campaign, you'll get promoted right to the very top.
Mm,
Okay.
yeah.
4B, connected TV advertising. We're not talking about TV advertising of old, in which you needed hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to produce a commercial and uh, to use cable TV or local TV to run your commercial. No, a connected TV advertising, you can actually run it in almost the same kind of budget that you would use for Google search paid ads. And what's happening is these are ads that are run on ESPN, on Hulu, on Netflix, on connected TVs, on basically all the streaming apps that run advertising. But the beauty is that you can choose specifically the people who are going to be seeing your paid advertising. So if you're a doctor who is offering uh, uh, a UTI medication, you can actually just show your ads to females between the ages of 18 and 65 that are tech savvy, that typically have a smartphone in within a certain geographical area. 100% do that.
Hmm. Can you do that in Canada as well? Or is
I,
that just primarily the US?
that is an answer I may have to do some research for. I
Yeah,
am
I,
not
I love
sure,
that. I
but
love it how
yes,
you can target who's seeing it, which makes a lot of sense.
of course. Yeah. And so
Love it.
the production cost is a little bit more depending on the type of ad that you want to run. However, when it comes to running the ad, it's basically the same budget that you would use for a Google search paid ads.
Okay. So
Okay,
we have paid ads, and then we got connected
TV
TV
advertising,
advertising.
and
Yes.
the third, which is very rarely offered, especially on a digital marketing agency, PR.
Mm.
Now, uh, most businesses, especially small businesses, especially startups and all this stuff, never consider PR as a marketing exercise. Because typically, what you have in your mind is that PR is often utilized by Fortune 500 companies that have unlimited budgets. So, does Coca Cola, Apple's, the Microsoft of the world, do they spend a gazillion in PR? 100%. Are they getting the bang for the buck? Of course they are. However, that is actually a lot more meaningful for a small business or for a startup because let's go back, humanizing your effort, controlling the narrative, allowing people to know who you are, why you're passionate about what you're doing. Why should people do business with you? And I'm not talking about doing some paid promos on conventional media. I'm talking about conventional media picking up your story, newspapers, magazines, newscasts, national press, finding out or creating a narrative that becomes fascinating to them and they want to run it because you have a unique story to tell and you're offering a very unique service and you have a competitive advantage on the products or services that you're offering. So there is nothing in all of the things that you can do that can make you go viral quicker and can get you a bigger return on investment than a good PR campaign. Is PR ideal for every single business? Not necessarily. But if it is, I can tell you that there is no better bang for your buck than PR.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Now,
I would imagine when you're working with clients, you would be able to actually show them, here's all the
mhm,
business that came in, and here's your return,
mhm,
your ROI as
mhm.
well. That is such in great insight. Keep going, keep going.
Okay, and so the reason why it's 4C and not 2 or 1 is because you need to have that established presence first. You need to have your website. You need to have the ability to have create a sales funnel from all the attention that you're going to get on the New York Times or the local newscast or your local newspaper is running a feature on you and a story on you. You want to have a sales funnel. You want to capitalize on all the attention that you're getting. So even if people don't buy from you immediately, you've started that relationship and you can cultivate and nurture that relationship moving forward. You can create all the press in the world, but if you're not ready for it, it will go to
Mm,
waste.
yeah, yeah.
Now, once you've gone into the 4 steps and all of it is running smoothly, I can guarantee you that all of your marketing is profitable and it's sustainable. And what I mean by that is your marketing dollar will always be a lot lower than the return on investment that you're getting on a monthly basis.
Hmm.
And that will help you finance other things that move after that, including content on social media, including blogs, including all of your email marketing to nurture those relationships, including uh, a videography session so that they can come and tell a story about you and so that you can put it on your website, including a artificial intelligence implementation on all your processes and this or the other or the sales funnel, but your marketing in an ideal environment and in a typical environment, you want your marketing dollar to actually be producing enough revenue to be sustaining, self-sustaining, and uh, profitable. That's how you develop mobile app development and you do some AR and VR apps. And that's how you start going into the other things, but it should be self sustaining. Your own marketing is paying for all of those efforts.
I love how you broke it down to simple steps. This to me is a sign of mastery and true wisdom. It's interesting that the greatest philosophers and the greatest minds of the world, they broke things down. I mean, look at King Solomon. He wrote down proverbs, right? Simple little sayings, little wisdom. Jesus Christ, like he told stories to teach his lessons very simply. Um, Even Think and Grow Rich, the book Napoleon Hill wrote, it's like he broke it down to the simple. And it's interesting. I've spoken with so many a range, and the ones that are like super complicated, and they're it's like uh, if they keep on going in business and experience, eventually they'll outgrow that into saying very simple things, and so that speaks so much volume of you and your insight to be able to break it down to the simple. And I've studied a lot of marketing, and I can tell you that this is like bang on 100%. I totally agree with you on, there's a lot of wisdom in what you said there.
Is this the only way to have success? No, 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 no. You can have success. Like I said, if you're investing time and effort and money into something, you're bound to get some return on investment. Will following this chronological order give you a better return on investment and better return on your dollar than you would otherwise? 100% of the time, yes.
We'll say 1,000%. I totally agree. Uh, in a big way, in a big way. It's interesting. You go to marketing, you like advertising school and whatnot. It's like, if you just listen to this podcast and implement. Like, and I've hired a lot of MBAs, PhDs. I've hired a lot of them through the years, and this step is actually missed most of the time. I'm like, okay, it's good we've actually gone through it, because that step is just overlooked, and then you dive into the actions. But the story behind the company, and then getting the foundations built, and the strong pillars built, I think is so much wisdom in that. Um, okay, so I'm going to transition, and then I want to honor your time here as well. So how about on the investing front? What words of wisdom do you have for the listeners when it comes down to, they're making money, they have funds to invest in, they've already invested in their business, they have enough cash, they're investing in themselves. There's like, so for example, for us, we look at 300 different deals, multifamily deals, before we pick one. So we have to go through a lot. We pick one, and it's 1 in 300. But the listeners out there, they're investing, and they have like thousands of different options. You got, Bitcoin, you got stocks, you got bonds, you got cash, and you got real estate. You got so many different, like, what counsel or advice, like, you're further down the road than most. When you're looking, you look back and say, okay, here's some wisdom principles when it comes to investing their money. What advice would you have?
Invest in what you're passionate about, because ultimately it's not all about the amount of dollars that you have on your bank account and on your investments or on your foreign accounts or whatever it may be. It's what you got out of that experience. One of the things that there's no question I'm going to get back into is uh, luxury cars and exotics. I'm so passionate about cars. I'm going to eventually get back into it. Can I make more money doing something else? Probably, but nothing is going to give me more reward on my daily basis, on more enjoyment than that. So find something that you're passionate about. And it could be Bitcoin or it could be whatever else. But find something that you're passionate about. Invest in that, and you'll see that your return on investment is going to be beyond dollars and cents.
All right. Well, we got three last questions here, Danny, and then we're going to wrap it up. You ready for
Sure.
rapid fire part? All right. So, first question, I'm a big reader, love reading books. For yourself, which book has made the biggest impact in your business growth?
And this is actually really interesting because there are so many books
Yeah,
I've
it's a
read,
tough one.
and there are so many
Yeah.
of them that have so many gold nuggets in information that have been of great meaning to your everyday life. However, the way you phrased that question can only lead me to two books that I read very early on, and I know that to some of them it's going to sound like it's a cop out, but How to Win Friends and Influence People,
Mm, yeah.
and The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And the reason why is because my father made me read it when I was in high school, and I didn't want to read it. I thought, this is dumb. Why am I? However, do you remember the tortilla story?
Yeah.
I had an epiphany. I had a mind-blowing experience once I finished those two books, and it made a lot of who I am now.
Mm.
And so when it comes to what books had the greatest impact, there is no question. Those two books, and I read them when I was in high school, back in the 1800s when everything was black and white.
Yeah. Right. Not quite, but yeah. No, I hear you. Love it. And that book, I mean, Seven Habits is fantastic as well. But How to
Yeah.
Win Friends and Influence People. What my three boys, it's like, have you read that book recently? Again, it's like, read the book. Like, what are the principles, right? Like That's I think for relationships, regardless, even if you
Yeah.
don't want to get into business, like if you
Yeah.
want to improve your life,
Oh,
oh,
100%. Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
book is so. And I don't know if Danny, for you, I like that book. Actually, it says right there in the, like, one of the first pages, the book is meant to be read over and over and over and
Yes.
over.
Yes.
And it's, yeah.
You
Keep
hit
going.
it on the head because so what happens
Yeah.
is you go back at different stages of your life
Yeah.
and you will find that some things that you had kind of overlooked now all of a sudden have a completely different meaning because that's where you are in your growth in that particular part of your life.
Yeah, so good. It's interesting. Quick story on that. I met I was at this real estate conference and I met Barbara Cochran and I got a chance to meet her and said hello and I asked her, I said, what's your favorite book? And she goes, "Oh, How to Win Friends and Influence People." And of course I'm like, that's actually one of my favorite too. And then she goes to me, "Bullshit." She is what she says to me, "Bullshit." I'm like, huh, huh. Actually, I even have it on my. I even have it.
Yeah,
Funny
there we
enough, I
go.
have it right there on my desk.
There we
This
go.
was not planted, but it's interesting because I was talking to my brothers after about it, and I've been meeting with my brothers kind of once a week for the last like almost decade now, and
Good.
pretty much every week we go through the principles and we've kind of
Yeah.
internalized them. We remind them, over and over, and we talk about it. But it was funny. Where like my brother's like, "Hey, you should have just rhymed them off right in front of her, and that would have showed her." I was like, the conversation kind of finished really quick, but love the book, and I hundred
Absolutely.
percent. It's that, yeah, that's a giddy. It's such a giddy.
Yeah.
We could do a whole podcast just
Oh,
about that. You and
100%.
I,
Yeah, yeah.
right? We should
Yeah,
jump
yeah.
on and do a part two. Um, okay,
Uh-huh.
cool. So, second question is the people that know you best. Uh, what are three words that they would best describe you as?
Okay, so it depends. And so if it's one catchphrase or a sentence that has three
Three sep.
words,
Okay,
or it's
yeah, take it three.
because
It's three different words, but take it any which way you want. If there's
okay,
three catch, like that's cool too.
so I'll give you both.
That's good that you
One
know both. Yeah, go ahead.
one
Yeah.
of them is insatiable for knowledge. Uh, I'm I'm always willing and able to learn something new from everyone, even people who are hiring my agency or are talking to me, and I'm supposed to be their mentor. They, I'm always learning something from them because they are experts at whatever they do. They should be. Uh, and so I'm always wanting to learn new things. I want to be wrong on things because I want to learn. I am not, I don't, I never want to be in. By the way, if you Google these words right now, I'm going to show up right at the very top. Be the dumbest person in the world, in the room, be the dumbest person in the room, Danny Coello. Because I've had other podcasts in the past in which they actually titled it that way because I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I want to be in rooms where I'm the dumbest one.
Yeah.
The moment you feel content and proud of who you are and what you're doing, and you're seeing down upon anyone that's around you, you're in trouble. And sooner or
Mm,
later, it's going to catch up to you. If,
yeah.
on the other hand, you're in rooms in which you have so much to learn from those around you, you are in the right room. So, insatiable for knowledge would be my one catchphrase that is three words. But if you were to ask my staff, if you were to ask a lot of my clients, if you were to ask my wife, passionate. I'm very passionate about what I do. Sometimes to a flaw, I will admit. But people cannot say that that I'm not 100% in whatever I'm doing. I am
Hmm.
100% all the time. I'm passionate about what I do.
Hmm.
And the third, hungry, which has to do with the first one because I'm always hungry to do more, to find more, to learn more, to expand or to evolve. In so I'm always hungry for more in a healthy way.
Hmm.
Um, and but that feeds me. That makes me excited about waking up every day and about learning new things and about uh, learning more
Mm,
about everything around me.
so good. So we got insatiable for knowledge is like the three, and then you got passionate, and then
And then
you
hungry.
and hungry. Perfect. So good. And why I like that question is because when people are like they see successful person, it's I never really explained why I asked that question, but like key attributes are things that it's like what are some of the main kind of things about you that stand out. And generally, there start to be like there's consistencies in what's being said. And I think if an entrepreneur is going after certain attributes to like hone and dial in on, I think it's good that they listen and they
Hmm.
hear, okay, like
Hmm.
Danny's like super successful. It's like, passionately. Yeah, that's probably something that I should be passionate about what I'm doing and hungry. Like, I'm insatiable for knowledge. Most successful people that I've seen, the ones that are successful long term, they're so curious and they're constantly like
Hmm.
digging for knowledge,
Hmm.
and they're almost like they're they're hardcore about their approach to seeking knowledge, buying knowledge. That's why I like when I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but I come back and my CFO's pissed off at me because I just went and bought $6,000 worth of courses. It's like it's not part of the budget. It's like, but I got to get this information. Like
A
I'm like
100%.
hungry for it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
as well.
And I can tell you that it's not only an attribute, but it's a necessity in marketing
Yeah, that's right.
because things are evolving all the time.
Yeah, 100%. All right, last question. What final advice or insight would you like to share with the listeners today?
I would go back to something I already mentioned. Be the dumbest person in the room. If you are in rooms in which you have a lot to learn from the people around you, you are in the right room. So be the dumbest person in the room. And I think it's funny that how when there is no context, and if you Google that, and you're going to find my name associated with it, but once you find the context of it, I'm very proud of it. I want to be learning constantly from those people around me.
Yeah, I'm gonna elevate it even like I'm gonna add to that. I think there's two parts almost to that when I start to think about it. I mean, because there's so much wisdom in that. But one is getting yourself in the like finding the room with the right talent level.
Exactly,
And then the other thing of that is like there's a humility part to it as well, where
100%.
you're subservient to which I think is a very powerful leadership principle. The like Jim Collins talks about like hubris of success, right? Like that's the beginning of the fall. So if there's humility about you, then your cup is not full. It's half full, which allows you to learn. But you have other people that they got to be the smartest person in the room. Their cup is filled and they can't fill anymore. And if you're always glass half empty or half full type thing, and you can still fill it up, um, I think that's why that saying is so powerful, because of those items, the humility part, but then finding the room where there's bigger players and exposing yourself to not to maybe being the small guy in the room. It takes humility to do that.
And the reality, this is the reason why I mentioned earlier that if you, with lack of humility, with always trying to be the smartest guy in the room, sooner or later is going to catch up to you.
Yeah.
Are there people who are very proud of themselves who have had a lot of success? Of course, there is. But sooner or later, it will catch up to them.
Yeah. So good. Danny, I'm like energized from this conversation, and I hope the listeners got a lot from it because there's so much gold, practical gold, and knowledge and insight as well. What's the best way that the listeners can reach out? Maybe they want to hire your firm or find out a little bit more about what your company has to offer. What's the best way they can reach out?
All they have to do is dial 911 for marketing.com.
911 for marketing.com.
Dial 911 for marketing.com.
Dial 9. It's so good. That's a catch. You're going to remember that. That's a
And you know where
marketing
that
play right there.
well, so do you know where that comes from? That comes from Phil Knight
Oh yeah.
from Nike. So years ago, and this was in the early stages of my business. Um, they He was being asked by NPR. So how did you come up with your iconic logo? I mean, it's one of the things that everyone in every corner of the world knows. And he's like, well, I mean, I just went to in Portland in the university. He went to the design department of the students and asked a person to design a logo for him. And he said, it's not like you can just dial 911 for design. Well, now you can, and you can do it with me.
Yeah, it's so good. You got a good
But
story behind the website too. That's good.
yeah,
And and
both dot coms, by the way, go to my website, dial 911 for design.com and dial 911 for marketing.com.
so good. So good. And I'm going to leave off with one thing that I noticed that you did, which is it was hidden, but I think the listeners is so good that they see this, is that you started with a stat and you tied in stories along the way, which is one of the best ways of teaching, is to tie in storytelling when it comes down to marketing. And that's something you did. I was like, oh man, this guy's a friggin' ninja. And the marketing side, because that's actually when you do presentations, the first thing is you want to be able to either say like some sort of like stat that or some sort of story, or ask a question to be able to pull people in, not just be like, oh my goodness, here's another conversation, right? But you did this so well. So I just want to like acknowledge you for that I saw
Thank
that.
you.
That was
Appreciate
good.
it. Thank
Yeah,
you. Appreciate it.
very cool. Well, thanks, Danny, for coming on the show. Really, really appreciate you.
It's been a true pleasure, Mark. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, right on. And thank you, everyone, for listening to the show. If you liked it, you can go ahead and share and subscribe to the channel, where we're building a community of up and coming entrepreneurs. And just remember, guys, one of the fastest ways to grow your wealth is to build your business and invest in real estate. I love you guys.